don't often do these multiple recordings for people, but if they come from, you know, non-Chicago areas, I have to give them some props. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've actually accepted the poem of Ice Gayle. It's for a future issue of CC&D magazine. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my New York transplant, Ice Gayle. Yeah!
Thank you. Thank you, and I have to say it's really a pleasure to be here again for the second time. Recently I've been, I wouldn't consider myself a very political poet at this point. I think just because of current affairs and what's been going on weather-wise. This first piece is about Haiti, and it's a rant, and it's addressing Mother Nature. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. A bright sun, bright as a new penny, a shiny star beats down as if to make fun of the devastation. Hallelujah, hallelujah. It's a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky, clear as a bell. And I try to imagine you, Mother Nature. Mama, Mama, how could you? How could you do this? You did something unthinkable. You turned your back and kicked and ripped and dug your heels in and dug them in deep and turned the ground inside out and mixed the earth with a swift hand as if you were mixing in a mixmaster. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Did you have a nightmare, Mama? Was someone terrorizing you and chasing you and beating you with a lead pipe and tearing at your body, dragging you to the ground and ripping off your clothes and raping you, Mama? Was that what it was? Oh, Mama, what have you done? Mama, this terror you've created has the whole world in pieces. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Mama, you tossed and turned and tore open this piece of yourself and ripped and lashed at it, and it spun out of control. And was it worth it? Was it worth it, Mama? Was your rage worth it? Imagine the crying eyes and swollen bellies of hunger and people fighting each other for a piece of bread and some rice and some water. And Mama and Mother, you could have destroyed us all, and the cries of the dead will haunt forever. Hallelujah. But least expected, Mama, late at night under your beautiful skies, that baby girl whose cries were heard deep in the rubble under piled high bricks, a small cry that didn't die. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Mama, we will survive. Mama, hear me. We will survive. Mama, hear me. We will survive. Mama, hear me. 3 days and nights she lay there. No water, no food. Her parents dead in the debris beside her. Imagine, Mama, this is your child you struck. Mama, don't you see? We are all yours. How, Mama, will you sleep? How, Mama, will you sleep? How, Mama, will you sleep? Hallelujah, 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 Mama. In It's still dark outside, and the soft wind that brushes my shoulder is a clue. Standing in the street, I see myself staring out of a window, and there's a small fluorescent light above my head. And when I turn, I realize I'm in a hospital room, and there are several beds, and there's no other patients except one down the aisle on the left side. And it's an all-white room, and I realize now I'm in a hospital ward, and it's 2001 Space Odyssey, and the end and the beginning of a rebirth and a new birth, and in the far left corner, covered with a white sheet, is this gaunt patient, and he's bald, and his head is, and his abdomen is distended, and he looks familiar, and I'm slowly moving toward him, and I stare at him for a long time in disbelief, and I want to hold him. I want to touch his cheek, and I can't. And it's a reconnecting to a piece of my fabric after a very long period of silence. I reapply makeup several times a day for months after waking from this nightmare. I watched a disease-eating machine devour. Only 3 months earlier, our family doctor said, only 3 months earlier, and I could have saved him. And my jaws are locked, and my teeth are grinding, and at the window, I am a lady in waiting. I am a lady in waiting, and I am waiting for the final breath and the end to a bad story. And there's no place for peace. And this quiet voice says, your father. I could hear everyone out in the hall. I could hear everyone begin to sob. No, not yet. I say, don't touch him. Don't touch him. And I sat by his bedside, and I held his hands till they were cold. Oh. Thank you so much. I'm going to finish with 9/11. I'm in the process of writing a series of poems about the afterlife and how you lived and survived after 9/11. In witness. 9/11. Who's going to catch these people? I read the same paragraph over and over, and it's 8:30 Tuesday morning, and I'm on my way. I'm on my way to get a cappuccino and read for an hour before I go to the gym. 9/11, I read the same lines over and over and over, and it's 9/11, and the women on the corner of Jane and Hudson in my neighborhood said, my neighbor went back to work this morning after being on maternity leave. I know she works on one of the towers, but I don't know which one, and I don't know for who. And I left, and I continued walking. And it's 9/11, and that first plane had already hit the South Tower, maybe 12 floors down, not 4 from the roof. I thought, what a waste of time here to trying to continue to read. To try and continue to read the same lines over and over. And so I paid for my cappuccino and I left. It is 9/11, and I stood paralyzed watching that second plane come around the corner on the right side and turn on its left and hit that North Tower. And there was another ball of fire. And there was another ball of fire that came shooting out. Another ball of fire that came shooting out. And I was crossing Hudson because I couldn't sit anymore. And there was a man coming running towards me, and he said, it's a terrorist attack, it's a terrorist attack. And I looked at him and I went, don't be ridiculous. A terrorist attack? And you know, my gym at that time was on West 12th and West Street. So by the time I got to the gym, I had changed and I had gotten up on this elliptic step. And this elliptic step was facing the Hudson River. And when I looked at the Hudson River, I saw all of these people like marching quietly, lifeless, all covered in a white dust. And I kept thinking to myself, because out in the main lobby was a TV, and I kept seeing people throwing themselves out of windows, and I kept thinking to myself, who's going to catch these people? I mean, who's going to catch these people? I kept listening to the trainer saying to me, these people, who are these people? Well, you see, Manhattan was on lockdown. You couldn't get in, and you couldn't get out. And so people were stopping in the gym and saying, do you mind if I use the phone, because I want to call my family, and I want to let them know that I'm okay. I want to let them know that I'm okay. And this trainer said to me, he said, can you believe this? Who's going to catch these people? Who was going to catch these people? Who was going to catch these people toppling out of windows? They were toppling out of windows. They were flipping over with rigid hands stretched out, plastic-looking figures without motion, flailing, lifeless. They were flailing through the air. They were lifeless. They were lifeless. In this 9/11, I kept thinking to myself, I can't get off this machine. And I can't get off this machine. I wanted to stop. I kept thinking, I wanted to stop. Who's going to catch these people falling out of these windows like stick figures without emotion? And all these people in front of me on this elliptic step that were marching up from the Battery Park City, and they were all covered in dust, and they were like zombies. They had no emotion. They were walking very slow and very lifeless, and I want to get off this machine, and I want these people to stop falling in front of my eyes, and I want these shooting balls of fire. I want these shooting balls of fire to stop. I want this ball of fire to stop, to stop, to stop, to stop. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. I want this to stop, make it stop, make it stop. Both towers now have disintegrated. They both disintegrated in front of my eyes. They kind of fell in on each other, like they were like a puff of smoke. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ice Gayle. That was phenomenal to hear. And I was just reading something from the Reader from this past week about how do people actually jump onto those little tarps that you see in cartoons and stuff? Is that actually something that's real? And they did this whole long thing of like, well, yes, it was real from over a century ago. This is what you had, and if you might be able to survive at 6 flights to 10 flights. Now, of course, it's not the same when you see a catastrophe like 9/11 happen and people are jumping out, and I was hurt, and I wasn't there, obviously. But I remember watching it just thinking, oh my God, these people, and it just broke your heart watching these people falling from. And thank you, this is such a retarded way to just be like, thank you very much again. I'm just talking about new stuff, but thank you, Ice Gayle. Thank